Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast on this 29th of October 2020. I'm your Cyril Gerald-Quinn, and I have a special guest on the podcast, a friend of mine who is a real estate agent, one of the top realtors in the DMV, to be honest with you, in DC. I looked it up. We'll talk about that later, but Monique Malabé, I hope I got that right, your last name, because I never say your last name. She
Right.
runs the program. How you doing? How you doing this evening, Monique?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And yes, you are correct on last name is Malabet. And yes, thank you for having me on your show.
So I called Monique on here because I was just thinking about, how COVID is affecting just people in general, especially friends of mine and people, working around this area and how they're dealing with it. It's definitely had an effect on all of our lives. I work in education. I'm virtual, doing virtual teaching, um, going through various protocols, even going on on to my other job where we have to go through necessary protocols. So
Mhm.
for you, Monique, you're in real estate. Um, how has it affected how has it affected you as far as how you have to move? Any major adjustments that you've had to make? Any what has it done to affect your day to day, if it has any effect at all?
Yes, yes. So actually the real estate market, it was a couple things that was a lot of changes that we've had to make to adjust to the environment. And also it kind of, slowed down the market a bit back in the springtime when typically it's the busiest time of the year in terms of real estate. So now what we do, because I just had a closing earlier today, a settlement, we're doing a lot of at one point they were trying to do it virtually, but the thing with real estate, you have to have a wet signature at settlement. So they were trying to use a lot of notaries and send them to people's houses. So different things like that they were doing initially. And now we're back to having a settlement closing basically in person, but we have glass windows up everywhere. So today, my client, I was able to sit next to her because we've been pretty much working hand in hand together. In the process, we still keep our distance. We have to wear our masks. So that's a mandatory, that's a must. And then the title attorneys are across kind of on the other side of the table. He has a glass between him. And if the seller was to show up, they could sit on the other side of the table, like basically what, six people could probably be in the room, but we're also limiting that as well. They don't want more than like the buyer. They don't want more than like the buyer there, like no friends and no family, which before you can like invite a couple people. But there's a glass up everywhere you go. And also on top of that, everyone has to wear a mask and we have to keep 6 feet apart. So it has changed a lot. And going in and out of houses, you have hand sanitizers, and the same thing at the title company. Hand sanitizers as soon as you walk in. Please sanitize. Some places are checking your temperature, so it's been some adjustments, and it is interesting. Like if it's a new client, we're meeting online, talking about the home buying process online, and then when we meet in person, we still try to keep our distance and sanitize going in and out of properties. So taking a little bit longer, but going in and out of homes because there's so many precautions we have to take. Some places we got to take our shoes off. Some places you got to put on foot coverings along with your mask, hand sanitizer, the whole shebang. And when we first started, we were doing virtual showings, like I was saying. So we wasn't even able to like meet up with the clients at one point. So very interesting real estate market this year for sure.
So of course, I notice a lot of people, from what I read, that are taking advantage of these, super low interest rates,
Hmm.
especially in this area. Have you noticed that uptick of people being more aggressive towards buying homes and condos and what have you?
Yes, yes. So I can definitely say one thing. Here's I guess, a couple words about the real estate market lately. It's been low inventory, rising home prices, and endless bidding wars. So that's kind of like the market, the housing market in a snapshot. It's been pretty crazy. A lot of people are taking full advantage of the, especially once June kind of hit. I feel like May, June, when the stay-at-home orders started to lift, and also they start to kind of, pull back. We got in our different phases, phase one, phase two. It seemed like a lot of people had cabin fever. So they were like, maybe they were at their house for the last couple months. Well, maybe like, what was it, from March, middle of March to about May. I feel like around that time, people were like, either I don't like where I'm living at, or, I'm paying too much, maybe I'm living with too many people, whatever the situation was. Maybe I need to separate for a significant other, like a lot of things like that. So you did start to see in the beginning, back in June, I feel like people were a mixture between cabin fever and also let me take advantage of these housing, these low interest rates. And they actually said in the summertime, mortgage applications were up 20% than it was the previous year. And last year in 2019, we had a great real estate year. Like overall numbers were up. It was a very healthy and very good market, basically. And this year, it's basically jumped higher. Like the average home price is now up. And I believe I have some of the numbers in front of me as well because I couldn't memorize all of it. But the median sales price of homes are up 14%, and the median sales price has always been historically under 300,000. It's usually around like 270, 280. That's where it's been sitting at for some time. Basically between 240 and probably about 280. That's been sitting at that place for years in this country. And now the average home price, well, the median home price is 311,000. So home prices have also risen as well because the market is it's low inventory. So being a home buyer right now, it's a little bit tough. It's very competitive, but they did say mortgage applications have start basically around like September. The mortgage applications have gone down. So if you're interested in buying, the winter time probably could be a really good time because it's been pretty crazy throughout the summer.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Can you can I make it a case based on what you just said that it's not only that it could be both a buyer's and seller's market, considering where we're at in society with the pandemic and our current situation?
It can definitely be essentially, I can't remember the exact terminology, but yes, it can be an even market when it comes to like, sellers and like basically supply and demand. So, there's times with supply and demand, they're pretty much like even or they're very close. So, yeah, there's times where it's basically just like a normal, I guess, a normal market. Then there's times when there's a seller's market, which is like right now. And then there's times when there's a buyer's market. It hasn't been a buyer's market, honestly, in a long time, especially in this area. It's been a while. It's been years. Nationwide as well, it's basically been a seller's market for the last couple of years, right?
Right.
But we don't know 100%, there's no crystal ball, but we can definitely, it seems like at least the competitiveness or the craziness from the summertime in terms of a lot of people jumping out to buy because mortgage applications are starting to go down. We can only assume for the summer that it will slow down. I mean, not the summer, the winter, it will slow down.
Yeah, I mean that if I think in this this runs rampant in terms of property overall. Like if you own a store, if you own any type of property that you really need before you sell it,
Mhm.
you're really at a major advantage because there's limited property in this country. As far like so I'll see some like I saw something in South Carolina where you got people trying to hustle people in terms of, well, I'll give you like 3 million for this, when in reality the property is probably worth 30 or 40 million or 50 million. Like you really can't put a price tag in terms of on the property, but like that, it seems to me like having property now in 2020 is more valuable than it's ever been because there's just not a lot of it around as far as people who are, as far as people who are selling like that, like, or It seems, I don't know, tell me, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, inventory has been low for a while now. And I know particularly like in this area, it's been like I said, a seller's market for some time because people just aren't really selling. Like um, I guess kind of like the way the economy works, it's supposed to be like at this point, traditionally, baby boomers, or I guess the older generation, they're supposed to be selling their property. They're supposed to be basically downsizing. And
Right.
then millennials are supposed to be purchasing. And then I think the generation after that is what, Y or something like that. I can't fully remember. It's
I,
X
I,
or
I
something.
lose track. I lose track of
Yeah, I think they're like X. So the generation basically after us millennials, basically the people in their 20s are supposed to be essentially shifting and starting to buy too. But unfortunately, the older generation, they're not downsizing like traditionally it has been historically, I guess historically in history, right? That's typically a thing that happens that but it's not really happening now. So yeah, so inventory, I can definitely say in terms of purchasing a home, buying a house, it is becoming more expensive because it's just not as much. So new construction is in demand. Keep in mind when the housing market crashed back in what 2006, 2005, well 2000, 2005, 2008.
Well, Obama got in office, yeah.
Exactly. No, she was right. Pre-Obama days, yes.
Pre-Obama.
Right. So during that time frame, there was a lot of new construction. It was a huge boom. And then obviously with the market crashing, nobody wanted to buy. So that also left a lot of stock, I guess a lot of home stock. And builders really haven't came back or made a comeback. They haven't really made a comeback until the last couple of years. So it's also like the cycles and it's just about the demand and the cycles in the in the economy as well. So now you're seeing a lot more new construction, especially in DC. It's everywhere. Every block you turn on, they're building some condos or apartments. It's like it's because I guess they're seeing that high demand that people need housing, and if the baby boomers aren't going to sell, then we need to build.
Right, right.
And back to your point though, there is that saying that I even say as well, buy land or buy property, they're not making anymore. Well, buy land, actually, that's what it is. Buy land, they're not making anymore. So goes
Yeah,
back to the point from the
yeah.
beginning.
No, it's very limited in terms of like land that's out there or property is out there. Like if you're sitting on something that was passed down to you, you unless somebody's going to give you, do your research, because if
Yeah.
somebody is going to give you however amount of money for it, I trust me, it's probably worth 10 times as much.
Right.
That's where, or either do your research or just don't sell. I
Yep.
mean, like keep
If you
it
can if
keep
you
it.
can afford, yeah, I agree. If you can afford not to sell, don't. If you can hold on to it, and you're just selling just for the fun of it, I would just say don't. But if you need to sell, as long as you reinvest, is what I tell a lot of my clients or people that just talk to me about real estate. I want to sell, but I want to hold on to it. Just reinvest into another real estate. That makes sense. So, because sometimes you want to move, you want to relocate, or some people might
Right.
need the money.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, yeah, no question about it.
Mhm.
Now, going through the pandemic that we're still currently going through
Mhm.
as we speak, I found that it was like stages. So I would say like from that March through June stage, it was like high panic, and
Mhm.
people were following protocols. People, were for the most part well, depending on which state, depending on the states.
Right, the state.
Yeah, depending. Yes, let me make that clear. Depending on the states, there were people who were doing what they were supposed to do, and
Right.
we saw those numbers. We saw numbers falling.
Yeah.
Um, Then summertime started getting loose. That's when you start seeing the indoor pools in Atlanta, Ozarks in St. Louis. They, going buck wild. People started it like people. I think by June, late June, July, people were just like, "F it,"
Right.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, make these moves. I'm gonna travel. I'm gonna
Mhm.
live my life. Um,
Yeah.
Now cases are back up. I
Mhm.
asked that because where are you at with the pandemic in terms of your mindset and the kind of effect that it had you mentally? How did you keep yourself? How did you maintain mentally going through dealing with this?
Yeah, so I think the main thing that kind of happened with me is that I just realized, like, we're going through the pandemic. In the beginning, definitely staying at home, trying to make things work. My business, it's very difficult to do what I do and stay at home because a lot of things are in the field. So that was very hard in the beginning. I was still doing some virtual stuff, and in the state of Maryland, we were considered essential. So I was still actually technically able to go out and do certain things. So in the beginning, I was just super, super cautious. Like, okay, if I'm going to go do this, obviously no one needs to be in a property. I still had my mask on. I was sanitizing, hand sanitizing. Even when I got home, I'm like, let me take a hot, steaming hot shower, just anything to kind of, make it less, in terms of that. Once June kind of hit, the market really picked up. So I'm not going to lie. Still safely, I was going out. So I was like, all right, the business is running and it's flowing. I'm in also in the field, I'm in sales. So it's also, so my livelihood in a sense, semi kind of like, not gonna say it came at stake, but it was semi coming at stake because yeah, I didn't apply for like the PP loan. I didn't apply for certain things because I am doing pretty good financially, right? So I just felt like the people that needed it go ahead after it. But I was also like, I still need to make my money because this is the time of year when we make a good chunk of the money. Our money. So
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. Once June hit, I was like, I guess a bat out of the cage, you know what I mean, in a sense, but still safely doing things like still wearing my mask, still sanitizing. Because I'm at the end of the day, I'm a person that's still cautious, even before the pandemic, about people touching me and sneezing on me and
Right.
coughing. I've always been a person like, cover your mouth. I'm the person that looks at the person like, did you just cough and just
Right.
like, so I've always kind of been like that. So now with the pandemic, and I did travel, I'm not gonna lie, I did go to Mexico twice in the summertime. So I'm a fearless person. And I think a lot of it is because I don't have any preconditions. I know that's not a good excuse. But on the plane, it was empty. So that was a great part. It was a handful of people, and planes fit hundreds of people. So like literally it's no one sitting next to me. There's no one in the seats ahead of me as well. So I also made sure I booked my flights the week of, because it's so much cheaper now because obviously airlines have been affected greatly. So no one was on my plane, so I felt comfortable and I had my mask on and I also had a shield on as well. So for me, it's just really about, you do have to live your life, but live your life safely. You know, the it's just, to me, it reminds me of like your seatbelt. Yeah, you don't want to wear your seatbelt, you hate it, it's annoying, but at the end of the day, it's been proven that if you do this, then if you get in a car accident, you should be okay, not really be okay, but you have a higher, I guess, a greater chance of, like surviving or not getting badly hurt. So I kind of view just these precautions just as, okay, this is just a new norm. And I feel like even after we find a cure, this is probably going to be the thing. Like in China, they've been wearing masks forever in different parts of China because the pollution is so bad, and a number of other issues that they have. So with that being said, I don't mind just wearing a mask. Like I go to the gym, I actually run a mile. I can run an entire mile with my mask on now
Oh,
because
that's you about to. That's a stamina build up. That's a, with a mask on.
yeah, yeah, it's because you got to think about it. Like, if this, even I feel like with things like when they go back to semi norm, we still have to worry about another outbreak. They said one of the, before this pandemic even came out, I don't know if you saw the Netflix special with Bill Gates. That's what he received. I'm so sorry. Let me mute my phone. That's why he received so much heat in the beginning of the pandemic, because he came out with that, Netflix special, and it talked about the number one way that the world could be wiped out. They feel like the top way the world could be wiped out is through a virus. So even once we figure out this COVID-19, it could be something else that comes. I don't want to, let me not jinx it. Let me not say
No,
that.
see, it's be prepared. That's all. That's the
Yeah.
whole point. I mean,
The
Obama had a
chances are great.
plan before
Mhm.
he left office. Like, and he said before he even left office, a couple years before he left office, that something like this was going to happen. This was coming.
Yep.
So,
It's,
it's about being prepared. That's the main
yeah.
thing. This
Yeah.
it
So
happens. This
yeah.
is a part of life.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like at the end of the day, it's like we just need to be prepared just in case. I think also I've been a little bit more conscious of my health. I think that's another thing because we know that this disease tends to attack more, or I guess it has worse effects on people that have preconditions and that are older. So health has been a big thing for me. So just kind of shift. I've already shifted the way I eat. I eat a lot of meatless stuff. I'm a person that I love food, so I have to eat. So I work out a lot. I do work out a lot. So I've been working out even more because I feel like let me go ahead and build up my immune system. Be mindful of what I'm putting in. Let me make sure I have my vegetables. Let me make sure I have certain things that maybe previously before I did it, but I wasn't as like, great about it, right? So there's different things. I've always shopped at like Mom's and Trader Joe's. I'm lucky, Whole Foods and stuff like that. So pretty much a lot of stuff I buy is pretty good, but it's still about, all right, when I go out to eat, let me not go crazy and eat this stuff because we know certain things will kind of trigger certain things within your body after X amount of years of eating it and causing you to have, diabetes and all this other stuff that you could possibly get.
It's definitely made me more aware of my immune system and keeping that up to par with vitamins and different things of that nature. I think that's, I honestly think that's the best way to fight it off, to be honest, to kind of avoid it, having the immune system as strong as possible.
Yeah.
So we are less than 5 days away, amazingly. I can't wait
I
till
know.
it's over, even though I think that it's not going to be over for a while, but about 5 days away from the election.
Mhm.
75 to 76 million people have already voted, um, which is a record for pre-voting, if you want to, for that lack of a better term.
Yep.
Um, the type of business you're in, what a lot of these policies and stuff definitely can have a direct effect on what you do as far as housing and things of that, and real estate and things of that nature. What are your, what is your general sense of the election, and what are you at a point where you have election fatigue, or where are you at right now?
Honestly, I'm kind of like ready to get it over with because there's so much, chaos and violence that has, occurred because of, our leadership, unfortunately. So I'm a person that's like, let's go ahead and let's get it over with. Let's get it done. I, I, I'll be honest. I'm a person that's just like, let's get 45 out the office. Like, let's be done with this. There's too many other pressing issues that we need a leader that we need in a leader that needs to be touched on. Like we have climate change. Climate change is a huge thing right now. It's actually sped up over the last couple of years in terms of if we don't fix things and this many years, it could be irreversible. So, things like that, I just want to make sure we just get a leader in office that's ready to attack those things. We already knew racism was a problem in America. Well, never mind. A lot of people act like they didn't know, but you and I are pretty woke. We already knew this was a thing, and the fact that our current leader can't even denounce it or you know the Proud Boys, whatever that statement was. That's for me. It's just very disappointing, especially being that those individuals are specifically coming after me and people that look like me, right? Or us when it comes to that. So I'm ready for it to be over. I was going to. Listen, I can't hide how I really feel in reference to who I'm voting for, and it needs to be done. It's honestly politics have turned into a reality TV show, and I don't think that's okay. It should be taken a lot more seriously than what it currently is.
Yeah, it is a reality TV show right now because we have
Yeah.
a reality TV president. And
Like,
just so that is definitely a reality television show. I think that the last 4 years, and if I could say one thing, I think that it's going to change generations in
mhm.
regards to how people or approach politics or pay attention to politics. You see it in schools. I'm in education. You have kids, high school, middle school, elementary school, who are already talking and have an interest in politics.
I
And
think it's fun. I'm joking.
they, it's this is like and again, if I could have dismissed the last 4 years, that's been like the last 4 years has been like I don't know if anybody saw Back to the Future 2, that alternate 1955. That's what it's been like. Like this is just not even this. I want to block this out of my mind. But,
Right.
but
I always say the forgotten years, we're gonna call
yeah,
it
forgotten.
the dark ages or something part two.
So but I will say that I see this next generation coming up, even younger than below the millennials, who are
Mhm.
going to, I think, do some major things. And as
Yeah.
a country, the country
Mhm.
is not, by 20, it's 2020 now, by 2043, the country is going to be majority brown and black. Those are
Yep.
facts in regards to
Yep.
population. And
Yep.
that is scaring a lot of people, scaring a
Yep.
lot of people.
And that's why we're seeing some of the chaos because they're starting to realize
Yep.
that the majority won't be what it has been in the past. It's going to be different. So it has to show up in different areas of our democracy, especially in the political arena. But we are seeing a huge rise. We have more Black women mayors than we've had since the founding of this country. So there is progress being made, and we just need more of us in power so we can at least even out the playing field. That's all.
Yeah.
Make sure things are, opportunity is also available for people, for brown and Black people, people of color.
Now, folks, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking COVID, politics. We're going heavy.
Yes.
Now we're gonna go a little. Let's deal with the BS now. Let's deal with the B. Let's segue to the
Get
BS, to the fun stuff.
ready.
So, so we earlier this week or this past weekend set the internet on fire with some statements about Birkin bags and about her thoughts on how a man should support her. She wants or to support a woman. She wants a man not only to buy her Birkin bags, she wants a man to pay her bills. And knowing the way she lives, those some damn expensive bills. Well, that's
Right.
why she dates Quavo of the Migos. So, but I think, and you're perfect to have on to discuss this topic as a woman who's doing their thing. One of the top 100 real estate agents in the city or in the district out of like 8,000, which is that's a big time number. What are your thoughts on this? What were your thoughts when you heard about her statements and her comments? Um, Birkin bags, these Birkin bags are going for anywhere from 20,000 to 50,000 to even higher.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So what were you thinking when she made these statements and she came out with these comments?
Well, first of all, of course I laughed. I was like, "Oh wow, this is I guess." I mean, I'm a person that for me, what's important, that's not important for me. And I guess it's really about what's important to the individual, right? But I'm not going to get that excited about a bag because I'm a person that's like, well, I could have did this with 20 or 30,000. Like I could have doubled it, I could have tripled it, I could have put it in real estate. I'm a huge advocate for that. So like I guess for me, maybe if she shifted and said, every man should buy a woman a house, I don't know, help with the down payment from the house, I think I would be more like, yes, okay. So, but obviously, either way, I don't think that's something a man should have to do. Like, yeah, I know a lot of these, especially female rappers, they get a bad rep. But it has been in throughout history that men do pay, maybe they pay the family, they pay certain things in order to, I guess, be with a woman, right? So that's historically, and that's, I guess, and it's different for every community, every culture, right? So I'm not against what she's saying. I guess it's just really about what's important to you. I'm just not a huge fan of like Birkin bags or whatever, purses and bags and I guess really materialistic stuff. I am for a man that's like, hey, I'll buy you some stocks, I'll buy you some real estate type of situation. But obviously, that really is up to you and your relationship. And I'm not the person that should tell somebody, like, your man shouldn't be doing that for you. I'm not that type of girl. But for me, I guess personally, I'm not gonna like say no, but I'm also a person that's kind of like, maybe something that's important to me, what's important to me, that's really so I mean, I think that's a lot because the average person can't even afford that bag, let alone can they come up with $20,000 just for only a bag. So for me, it's a little outlandish, of course, but that's her lifestyle and that's, who the people she's with because they're making probably more than her. So for them, $20,000 is $20, right?
Right.
Or $100 or $200 maybe to the average person spend $200 on some shoes for me or whatever. But I I it's a bit outlandish, it's a little crazy, but I do agree with. I think Cardi B brought something up, and I'm gonna try to bring it up real quickly because I can't remember exactly what she said, but she said something I thought was important. She's just said a lot of women, beautiful women, don't even need to wear labels because we're already swagging on our own. Like, yes, if a man wants to buy you a gift or something like that to show their love, then let it be that gift. Let it be their gift that they decided. Or maybe as a couple, he knows that she really likes this, then let him get it. That's their relationship. But it shouldn't be the Birkin bag or labels, period. Because labels is great for some people, is for some women, but labels isn't great for other women. Like it's like chocolates and flowers. I'm not a huge flower person. So if a man brings me flowers, of course I'm be like, oh, thank you so much. But like, if there was another option to go get some food, I'd probably be like, yeah, like take me to this 5-star restaurant. They just forget these flowers because they're going to be dead in a couple days. I'm gonna be honest. So I think it really comes down to the woman. I love chocolate, but it's not like the number one thing on my list. I have priorities and other things. I love to travel. So you plan a trip out for me or something like that, I'm there. If you take me to a nice restaurant, that's Monique. So, so I think it just depends on the relationship and that what you have with that person. But it should not come down to labels. It shouldn't come down to what a man can do for you in order to, to be with you. You need to have that love with that person. And if they shower you with gifts, they shower you with food or travel, whatever it is that is y'all thing, then cool. But it shouldn't be if they don't do this, then they're not a good man because that's silly, especially in that price range, 20,000, 30.
Yeah. So I heard a lot of stuff over the internet over the weekend, and I hear a lot of pushback towards Sawiti. Um, I'm going to defend Sawiti, and this is how I'm going to defend Sawiti.
Okay.
Sawiti is 26 years old.
Oh yes.
So when you're young, when you're in your
That's
20s,
true.
um, you just certain things mean more than if you were in your 30s, late
Mhm.
40s, 50s, and what have you. That's a stage in life where you're looking, especially being a rap artist, being a rapper,
Mhm.
you're into materialistic stuff.
Right. That's
You're into
true.
buy, you're into gold, you're into, watches, all that type of stuff, cars. Um, she's at that stage in her life, clearly, where materialistic stuff,
Mhm.
materials matter a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
So you can't, I, as a 41-year-old, can't sit up here and try to impress my life experience and where I'm at in life to a 26-year-old.
That's
I'm not
fair.
going not going to do that. Now, if she's still talking this as a late 30s, 35-year-old rapper, then it's like you just haven't evolved. And you can call it out for, and we can definitely call it out for that. But she's
That's fair.
26.
Yeah.
Um, Part of the problem is, then I heard pushback, well, she shouldn't set this type of example for our young ladies in terms of they should value themselves versus materialistic stuff and what a man can and cannot do for them and things of that nature. I said, okay, here's the problem. And we can go back to talking when we were talking about 45
Yeah.
in regards to he gotten off his base a lot based on social media and
Yep.
that this whole reality, that this whole world of make believe, so to speak.
Yep.
What is real, what is not.
Right.
As a parent, if Sawiti is dictating your daughter's actions,
Oof.
that's a problem. That's not a Sawiti problem. That's a you problem.
Oof.
That's a
Oof.
you problem.
Fair.
Like that's part of the problem with society now. We worship these celebrities
Yep.
And all they're going to do is live it. They're going to just live their lives.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to, if she wants to spend $50,000 on a bag and have somebody buy a $50,000 bag, more power to you.
That's fair.
More power. It has no effect on my day to day.
Yeah.
And it really shouldn't have effect. Even if I had a daughter, I don't have any kids, but it really shouldn't have effect on your daughter's day to day.
That's fair.
So to me, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of,
that's true.
You can disagree with her, you can have a different opinion, fine, fine. But you cannot allow a celebrity to to have that kind of impact on your kids or on people close to you that you value in life. Yeah. So and by the way, she's the big winner out of all this. She won.
Yeah.
I'm talking. Today's Thursday. We're talking about it. They were talking about it throughout the weekend. I guarantee you, before this year's over, soon enough, she will have a deal with Birkin. I promise you, she's gonna have a deal with Birkin.
True. I didn't think about that.
Saweetie is the big winner. Whoever her PR people, whoever came up with this, whoever advised her, she might not even been advised on this, but
she probably wasn't. She probably
no. She was just talking. Yeah. She was just talking. Because her exact, I failed to mention this. Her exact words, basically, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, was if a man can't buy you the Birkin bag or can't pay your bills, send that N-word back to the street.
Back to the streets, yeah.
That was her exact word.
Then she said, okay, at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
she did a little Cardi at the end.
Yeah. So I just have fun laughing at other people's reactions of it and how much it just dominated the internet. It's hard. In 2020, it's hard to dominate the internet for a weekend. Unless somebody died. So it's to just
right about that.
But that to dominate the internet, that's
because I saw jokes everywhere and I was like, what is this? And I'm like, people are still talking about this and they're talking about what they would do with the 20 or 30,000. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is still the same topic.
It hit a nerve. I think a couple things. Number one, I think that part of it is, you have a group, you have a section of women who are doing their thing, independent, are not going to be, who are not going to be put, or not going to be, don't want the perception that they need a man to do for them. So you have that section, right?
Yep.
Then you just have people who are just flat out jealous, who probably wish they can afford Birkin bags.
Okay.
That's a real thing.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
That's a real thing. We get caught up in materialistic stuff. We get caught up in things that really are not that important in the grand scheme of life.
Really not.
Again, this is a 41-year-old talking. She's 26.
Yeah, that's true. And I think you hit it on the nose though, in terms of I feel like someone else's, whatever they're saying, because it could be not just a celebrity, it can be anybody. If they're saying this is X, Y, and Z, it should not have that much influence on your life or your kid's life, unless you're not kind of doing the right things, or you don't, you don't have that strong of a mind in a sense. But obviously kids are younger, and it really does come down to the parent or parenting or what they're seeing around them as well. But the power of social media now with kids is actually, I don't know if you saw the show, what is it, The Social Connect or whatever, it's on Netflix, I think.
I heard about it. I need to check that out. I heard.
Yeah, it's just talking about the impact that social media is actually having on people in general. And if you're at a young mind, like some of these young people that are growing up on social media, they're growing up on these things. So the younger generation, basically generation after millennials, because keep in mind that when social media starts to become big, we were not that ingrained in it. It became around and we were kind of like, what is this thing? We started to use it, but it didn't really make kind of our life or shape our life, right? But these young kids are growing up on this stuff, so it's having a psychological effect on them as well, where you're seeing it play out, where they're depressed. The depression rate for the younger generation is higher than it's ever been. They have anxiety like no other. Suicide rate is gone up as well, and all this due to social media. So when your brain hasn't fully developed, and you couple in social media, I think it has that type of effect where sometimes it sucks to say this, that maybe even the parents can't even fix it. So and I hate saying this, some of our celebrities, unfortunately, you are a figure, whether you want to be, whether you sign up for it or not. In a sense, you become a model, in a sense. And they do have to be kind of mindful what they're saying and doing. But I don't know. I try to keep that separated. I feel like for kids, they have it hard. They have it tough. This stuff is really taking over, um, their lives. So for them, it's she says that, and me and you are like, oh, whatever, who cares? Like, but these kids, they're in it. They're like, oh my gosh, Cardi B said this. Oh my gosh, Saweetie said this. This has to be true. Oh,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so maybe I'm playing the devil's advocate on this on this one.
Right. I mean, everything you said is true. I mean, I guess a lot of it is going to come down to the values that you instill in your children. Like
Yeah.
what is really important.
Right. Because
Really,
violent shows have been around forever. You got
yeah,
violent video games,
sex, all that. Yeah, yep.
all that stuff, but doesn't mean you go out there and start killing people and being violent because you did it on a video game or you saw it online. They said to kill him or kill these people. You don't take it out to the streets and be like, I'm killing everybody because they said it in a video game. So yeah, there has to be some type of balance, and that's where that parenting is key. And controlling that and watching what your kids are consistently consuming over and over again.
No question about it. So, as many of you can see, I am rocking the 2020 Los Angeles Lakers championship hat. I just got it yesterday, so it hasn't taken complete shape of my head. I'm still adjusting. It's still adjusting to my head. So give it a couple of weeks. It'll take it might even take a couple of months. There was another team in LA that won a championship a couple of days ago, the Dodgers. And like the Lakers, they did it in a bubble situation. First championship since 1988, 32 years.
Wow.
Ironically, that year also the Lakers won a championship as well. So that's found that ironic that both teams won the championship in the same year. It was supposed to have a great end to the baseball season. You look at all the sports. Now, hockey did an excellent job, but really nobody pays attention to hockey, let's be honest. But out of all the sports that people actually care about, the NBA by far did the best job in terms of dealing with COVID. 0 positive cases. But nobody want to talk about that. Everybody just want to talk about the NBA and protesting and things of that nature, of course.
Black people.
Yeah, that's it. Well,
they have the nerve to protest on top of that. That's why they're not talking about
right.
how great they are.
Of course.
Something else is wrong. So we're going to focus on that, not the fact that they've done a great job.
No question. That no question about that. So they did the best job by far in terms of dealing with COVID. 0 positive tests. Any issues they had, they dealt. You had a guy who tried to mess with a COVID tester. He got sent home right away, and he had to answer to his wife. Yeah. Daniel Housley. Yeah, I would not probably want to be. Probably didn't go home to his wife.
Okay.
So they had a couple little small situations, but no positive tests. And they ended with the Lakers winning a championship. So the Dodgers win a championship. Justin Turner, who's a longtime Dodger, had been a Dodger since 2014, or has been. He's a free agent. He's a free agent this year. Very good player, borderline, all-star caliber player. He gets pulled out the game in the 6th inning, mysteriously. At the time, people were like, what happened? I thought that he had pulled a hamstring or something because he was I guess something happened, with an injury that we didn't hear about. So he got pulled out because he tested positive for COVID. He took the initial test was inconclusive. They sent him back a second test. The second test showed him to be positive, showed him the test positive. So they pull him out. He gets isolated. He gets put in isolation. Dodgers win the game. and they celebrate, and then Turner comes back on the field with the team to be a part of the celebration. He's hugging people. His wife is on the field. He goes by as they're taking a team picture. He has his mask down on his chin. He has it on at first, and he takes it off. And he's sitting by his manager, Dave Roberts, who is a cancer survivor. It like I just I mean it's just one of the most selfish things. It was not only dumb, it's just completely selfish. I can like, can you imagine dealing with a client, having a client that you're walking through a house and then they come knowing that they have COVID, still come anyway, knowing that they have COVID.
So what I'm going to say in his defense.
Go ahead.
The thing I was confused about is that they tested him first, it came negative. And then in the middle of the game, you said the 6th inning, they pull him out the game and say, oh, you've actually tested positive. So I think in his defense, and I guess I'll play the devil's advocate here as well, it kind of is like you've already, if he does have COVID, he's already exposed or exposed people, I guess, or whatever this saying is. So I think it's a little weird, and it comes down to like, what if he gets the 3rd test and he actually, maybe they should have kept testing him. And what if he gets the 3rd test and then he tested negative? So, because we know these things are incorrect and wrong. I guess my only thing is that y'all already have his man out on the field. When and why did y'all retest him again? Was there something else previously that you felt that y'all need to test him again?
So let me tell you what happened. So the first test that came back was inconclusive.
Okay, and this
it wasn't a negative test. It wasn't negative. It was inconclusive. Okay. So I guess this was they all of them get tested before the game and what have you.
Right.
All of them
get tested back inconclusive.
His came inconclusive. So they couldn't just stay with that. They had to another test. He wasn't tested. They had to take another. They had to send another test to, I think, they have a Utah lab. Oh. So when that test came back positive, and the game was they were already, like you said, 6 innings into the game.
Unfortunately, they probably should have did an executive decision then, and not, if it came back inconclusive in the beginning, they probably should just told him to sit down. Because now you got this man hype, he's middle of playing, and now you're saying, hey, you actually have COVID. I already exposed I'm already exposed to my players. I'm exposed to all these people at this point. Everybody that's here might as well just keep going. So that's only in his defense, is like, maybe they should have came up with better protocols so he won't be there and be amped and be hyped, because because like you said, 30 something years, 32 years, in the hype and everything, unfortunately, almost any human being that's in that situation, you are going to be selfish, because you're like, yeah, man, I've been working hard all year, and COVID's been a crazy year, and I'm literally here playing. I actually played to the sixth inning. I played to the 6th inning. Y'all gonna tell me to leave now? And I get it. You definitely have to be like, he should have been responsible. He should just thought about it. So I guess in a way with Sweetie, in his defense, it's like the emotions are there. You're already hyped. You're in the moment. I'm already on the field. Shoot. If I have COVID, I already gave it to them. Now, what is this about? Like, this is crazy. Why did you should have probably sat him down at the beginning and have him run out. Well, I guess he wouldn't be run out during the 6th inning. But I'm just thinking about it like on a more like, I feel like maybe the league should have did better with handling it to begin with, so he wouldn't react the way he did. That's in his defense, because it's the emotions, it's hype. They win now, and his teammates, I seen some comments that some of his teammates was okay with it, because they were like, he deserves it too. Like,
no one. So to your point, I don't disagree with anything you just said. To your point, no one has none of his teammates, organization have supported him 1,000%. I think, to me, again, it doesn't. First of all, it doesn't reflect well on baseball as far as
they should have.
It's going to have people questioning were there other players who were positive that were playing.
Thank you.
That's going to be a big thing.
Yep.
And to your point, they absolutely, if the test is inconclusive, then you sit down until we get either a negative or positive test.
Yeah.
It's just that could have shut all that down, and it would do. Then baseball looks good. Like, hey, we're doing our jobs. People can't come at us. So it's definitely a terrible reflection.
Yeah.
On baseball, without question. I still don't agree with him breaking protocol and going out there and celebrating. But
But he's
he was put in a tough. No, he was put in a tough position.
yeah,
He was
because
put
like
into.
something you worked hard for so long, and then you're literally there, like you're in the mix. You're like, oh, I'm podcasting, I'm a radio, and they're like, oh, actually, real, sorry, can you cut that off? I know you're in the midst of this great episode, but can you stop right now because we found this out? It's like, wait, we could have did this from the beginning. So I think yes, it does fall on him, but a lot falls on the organization that they should just told him to sit out. It hurts, it sucks, but it's better than being told to sit out in the sixth inning and you're hyped and you're in the mix and you're there and you say, hey, get off the field, go isolate, and you're looking at like really like
Yeah.
no. Like you expect him to be human, probably not professional, unfortunately, at that point. And that's really what it comes down to be. You're at work and you're doing your thing, and you just won a big case, and in the middle of you winning this big case, they're telling you to leave, and you're like, well, wait, I gotta, I'm part of getting us to this point. Now I gotta leave the room. I feel like professionalism gets thrown out the door.
Yeah.
Turns into personal.
I think they. I mean, it makes you wonder. What if they would have had multiple tests that came back inconclusive? They
Thank
probably
you.
left him in the game.
And thank you, which would thank you exactly. And what if other players had that same situation? What if like five of them had that exact same situation? It's like, what were y'all doing in that lab that it came up inconclusive? Now you have to tell five other people to get off the field. So I'm also thinking about what about the other players and different things like that. I don't know the full specifics, but it just seems a little bit shady on the organization part. So you leave a man to kind of, I don't know. Y'all know these athletes, and we worship them in a sense. So I can't see him abiding by the rules all of a sudden.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it looks terrible for baseball, and it also puts a bit of a stain on the Dodgers' first championship in 32 years. So
Oh yeah.
from that standpoint, it's kind of
Oh, that sucks.
from that standpoint, nobody won from that standpoint.
Right. That's actually very true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
But he done ruined it for all of them. But the organization too, they should be accountable. It shouldn't just be solely fall on him.
So that is all we have for this episode. Miss Malabé, excuse me. I thank you for joining me. First of all, where can the audience find you on social media? Speaking of social media, it can be used for positive things. We can use it for businesses and promotions. I use it too. But where can the audience find you with your Twitter or your Instagram handle?
So I'm a big Instagram person, but I am on Twitter as well and Facebook. But everything gets posted from my Instagram to my Twitter and to my Facebook. But you can find me at it's First Lady Realty. And it's not spelled out. It's actually the number one ST Lady Lady Realty REALTY. So at First Lady Realty. So the at sign 1STLADYREALTY. Hopefully you put it at the bottom of the Rillo puts it at the bottom of this.
Oh yeah. No, I'm gonna put all. I will put all
Okay.
information.
It's a little confusing for people.
Yeah. No, I was gonna do that anyway, but
Okay.
just in case anybody
Sure.
was taking the information once they listen to the episode. So
Okay.
yeah, we went through a lot. Went through a lot of topics here. Looking forward to the next episode. Thanks for having you on. And again, anybody out there that you need a condo, you need a house.
Yeah.
This is your lady in the DC area.
Yes. Anywhere in the world I can help you. I can at least connect you with a really good agent if you don't know one in your area. So, and you can also look me up online, testimonials, and I guess my transactions as well. Monique Malabet. If you just type that in the search browser, I pop up. And Malabet is very confusing. I know it's MALABET. So you can also put my name in, and my social media pops up, my real estate stuff pops up, everything.
Absolutely. You enjoy the rest of your evening, and certainly we'll be looking forward to the next episode.
Yes, thank you for having me, guys. Y'all have a good evening.
No problem.
Next time.
All right. That is going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast. Of course, I will be back either Saturday or Sunday with The Wire episode 5, Straight and True, with my buddy Robert Sapp, and also be celebrating a milestone of my own, year 13 of the Real Deal podcast. So I will put some more of that information out there. It'll be episode 5 of The Wire in year 13 of the Real Deal podcast. I'm out.